All right, guys, what's going on? Welcome in. So in this one, I wanted to quickly ask the question, will the acquisition of Aaron Rodgers make the Jets defense better? I've seen a couple of different schools of thought on it. Interesting takes, to say the least. We're going to talk about both, but this video idea, funny enough, was sparked from an article on the New York Jets website. I was, just kind of catching up on some of the news, and I saw that they had a kind of an article about Aaron Rodgers' impact on the defense, and Ulbrich had a quote specifically where he said, "It's huge. That's nothing to be said about any of the other guys. We're just talking about a Hall of Fame caliber player. Every year you try to evolve schematically and a few wrinkles here and there. There are times where some of the schematic wrinkles, you don't know the pitfalls. You don't know the snakes in the grass. So to have a quarterback like him to really exploit some of the new stuff that we have, it gets those necessary scars and keloids, especially when you're trying the new stuff. So he's going to provide that. Plus, he's going to sharpen us up because when you're off by that much, he's going to capitalize. So our attention to detail just goes to another place." I found that really interesting, right? That entire quote, right? Of course, the Jets have the talent, they have the depth, they know what they want to do defensively. Everybody there fits the scheme. Everybody's going into year 3 here, like when I look at the coaching staff. So it's not like a bunch of fresh new faces. Everybody's trying to get on the same page, get accustomed to it. No, this is kind of like we're finally locking in. Last year, we proved it on the field. The numbers back it up. The eye test, that was clearly there as well. But this is the season where all hands on deck. This defense is going to be locked in and ready to roll. But I love the point that he made about him wanting to add wrinkles, add new small details, not overhauling anything, but just continuing to add to the defense, not necessarily just copying and pasting what the defense did last season, because you never want to be in that position. You never want to be stagnant, right? You never want to be behind the curve, if you will, in the NFL, where you always have new innovative ideas coming out from the offensive side of the football. We know how the game is called these days too, with quarterback hits and all the throwing and mobile quarterbacks all over the place. So it's good to kind of be at the cutting edge defensively. So I appreciate that from Ulbrich's perspective, but you don't want to go into it blindly. You don't want to be, in a position where you're like, let's add this. We could try that. We don't really know what the pitfalls are, like he alluded to. But Aaron Rodgers being in the building, spending, not only just all this time as an NFL quarterback, but all this time as an NFL quarterback with a different organization and a different coaching staff with different personnel, he can be a voice of reason, if you will. He can be the guy in the locker room that says, hold on, Jeff, this isn't going to work because of XYZ. Or, hey, this actually really works. It's a great idea. We got to install it. Stuff like that. It's just simply not, with Zach Wilson and Mike White, it just wasn't, that input wasn't really there. It's nothing against them. It was just, hey, they're not future Hall of Famers. Now, you could say, hey, well, hold on. Joe Flacco was there. Joe Flacco won a Super Bowl with Baltimore, and that's totally true, but Aaron Rodgers is just on a completely different level. Almost 40 years old and still flinging the football around like he's, in his prime of his career. Can still throw the football better than the majority of the league. Again, that's not a stretch to say here. So I love the quote from Ulbrich here. I love how they're not just settling. It is what it is. We had a great defense. We'll just run it back. Everything's going to be the same. No, we're going to continue to add. And we do have a voice in the locker room at the quarterback position here that can really shed some light on what works and what doesn't. Now, the two schools of thought. Number one, of course, adding Aaron Rodgers to the defense adding Aaron Rodgers to the New York Jets is going to make the defense better. Why? Because last year, the Jets quarterback play was pretty much atrocious, right? We can point to the turnovers. We can point to the punts. But even if we dive deeper, we can look at the incompletions, the missed reads, the 3 and outs. This stuff matters. I'm not saying every single drive has to result in points, but a 3 and out is a lot worse. It's a lot worse than going, on a 7-play drive and ending up missing a field goal. At least the defense is on the bench getting some rest. At least you can kind of wear down the opponent's defense. I felt like there were so many times last season I was doing recap videos and I'd say, oh, in these 4 straight drives, the Jets went 3 and out. Or in these 6 total drives, they had 4 3 and outs, and one drive was they turned the football over with an interception or a fumble, something like that. Like, that stuff cannot happen this upcoming season. And when you just make that simple swap of going from Zach Wilson, Mike White, Joe Flacco to Aaron Rodgers, yeah, you're assuming that the offense is not only just going to be scoring more points, picking up more first downs, keeping the defense rested on the sidelines, and they can actually win games for the team. It's not every single win has to come down to the defense holding the opponent to under 20 points. I felt like that was the case a lot last season, and although I love defense, I'm a defensive guy, I love that mindset, it's just not sustainable. Like, you're telling me the defense has to win every single game in an 18-week regular season and then continue that in the playoffs. It's just, at some point the offense has got to step up, and with Aaron Rodgers, it's going to step up. Now, the counter argument here, and this was actually made, this point was made by a buddy who's a high school coach, and he said, hey, yes, the Jets defense is talented. Yes, the Jets defense is deep, and they have so many things figured out. They know who they are. They run what they want to run. But don't be surprised if the numbers take a hit because the offense is better. So, in other words, because the Jets offense is, projected to be scoring a lot more, definitely going to be shooting up the, offensive power rankings, if you will. When we think about the Jets offense now, we're not thinking bottom 3, we're not thinking bottom 5, we're not thinking bottom 10, bottom half of the league. I'm not thinking that. But last season I kind of did. It's like, all right, it's the it's the defense's team. The offense is kind of dragging along. We're just waiting for them to pick up the pace. Hey, can you guys score some points? Can you guys take some of the load off the defense? Just simply wasn't really happening. So his point was, because the Jets offense has potency, because there's a lot of talent there, because they're projected to be really, really good and projected to score a lot of points and pick up a lot of first downs, just be a great unit. Don't be surprised if other teams now start trying to push the ball on the Jets defense a lot more, try to rack up points, try to really hit them with the kill shot in the first quarter, try to stun them, put them out of their misery. And he's the coach is a defensive guy, and he would say, hey, if I was a defensive coordinator, I'm looking at that Jets offense saying to myself, yeah, no Breece Hall, no AVT, 2 of the most talented players, 2 of the best offensive players on the team. Both of those guys are hurt. You have Zach Wilson, who is just mechanically a mess. He was missing passes. I'm not going into these games thinking that Zach Wilson is going to throw for 350, 400 passing yards. It's just not going to happen. So we can play a little bit more conservative on offense, not turn the football over, not take risks down the field, not really play like your hair's on fire or anything like that. Of course, have a sense of urgency, but the offense is just like, hey, if we can score 21, 24 points, the win's pretty much in the bag. So there's no point in, dropping back, throwing it all over the yard, and really testing this Jets defense. It's like, hey, if we have to punt, we have to punt, live to see another day. Chances are our defense can hold them because the offense is just that ineffective. But now with Aaron Rodgers, it's like, hey, we might not be in a situation where we're saying it's okay to punt every, couple drives. We have to score points. Field goals, touchdown, we have to score points because Aaron Rodgers is that good. He's going to storm down the field and score points on, our defense. So the bottom line is the defense might still be as good as they were last year, but numbers wise, statistic wise, like where they rank in the season, passing yards allowed, touchdowns allowed, all that kind of stuff, that stuff might take a dip. Was the point of what he was saying. But I would love to hear your thoughts down below in the comment section. I think both sides of the argument are perfectly reasonable. Great points on both sides. And yeah, cannot wait to see what you guys have to say down below in the comment section. Anyway, thanks so much for watching. I appreciate it. And as always, go Jets.